become more and more advanced, it had become almost impossible not to leave DNA evidence. Either the killer had been extremely lucky, or it was the result of careful planning, because he had obviously been in physical contact with her, and the water had washed away the DNA. Felix read through the case file from cover to cover, and it had been noted that the drug she had been given was ketamine. It was difficult to make all the information come together in any meaningful way. There were many loose ends, but the possible scenarios all seemed to indicate that they were looking for a meticulous killer with a certain amount of intellect and resources at his disposal. The killer being somewhat well endowed with intellect was Felix's guess, since the killers who had low intelligence tended to leave horrible messes at the crime scenes, and they seldom managed to both plan and commit a murder. This killer had almost managed to conceal his crime, but he had forgotten to switch off the headlights of the car. A crucial mistake. Otherwise, she might never have been found. He didn't believe the killer to be insane in the classical sense, even though it was a fairly flexible term. People with serious mental illnesses seldom had the organizational skills that this perpetrator would have to have. It wasn't easy to trap a victim, transport them somewhere, and then commit murder. Felix was interrupted by a small ping which indicated that he had received an email. He opened the file, which came from Bergthora. It was a zip file, and he uncompressed it. A PDF and some pictures from the technical division of the Norwegian CID. He browsed the report from the police in the Agder precinct, which briefly mentioned that they had found a wetsuit with the skeletal remains of a woman in a nearby coastal area. They assumed that the body would be Norwegian in origin, but it was made clear that the ocean currents in the area were very unpredictable. The description they had managed to create did not match any of the 20 unidentified corpses or missing people in Norway. Bergthora wrote a comment in the email that she had also sent the material to their colleagues in Sweden. He opened the pictures and examined the wetsuit, which didn't tell him anything. He stopped at a picture of the semi-skeletal remains, where it was obvious that the organic parts that had been in contact with the water had dissolved, whereas the wetsuit had kept intact some of the rest of the body, which was covered in a soap-like white substance. A close-up of the body's abdomen made him freeze. Even though he wasn't a professional, any idiot could see that the woman had had surgery in her abdomen, and it looked very much like something he had just seen at the autopsy lab in Copenhagen. He opened the final picture, a close-up of a piece of thread tied in a neat knot, and he was ready to wager a substantial amount that it was a two-handed reef knot. He rubbed his forehead hard and swore to himself. He decided to forward the material to the coroner's office. Then Benedict could formally determine if it might be the same procedure. Felix wrote a short comment to Benedict that perhaps it might be a good idea to contact the gynecologist at the Julian Marie Centre of the National Hospital. Finally, he sent a copy to AA to have him check if the suture thread and knot were identical. He decided to join the meeting with the oceanology expert and sent Bergthora a text message. Denmark's Meteorological Institute, Copenhagen. Later that morning, Felix was freezing outside the entrance to the Meteorological Institute. Bergthora had called him to say that she would be a bit late. Felix regarded the drab red brick building with the blue window panes. The sound of an S-train, starting from nearby Rudparken station. He noticed a taxi approaching, and soon after a slim figure was getting out of it. Bergthora was wearing a short and elegant fur jacket and high-heeled boots that made her gorgeous long legs appear even longer. "Hi, Felix. Do I have enough time for half a cigarette?" She didn't wait for a reply, but quickly lit one up with her Zippo lighter. She inhaled deeply. "Your text said there might be a Danish case similar to ours?"